praying about today and what God would call us to do today for quite a while. And I'm excited for you to be able to be here to lean in on today, because today we're going to center everything that I'm going to share with you, everything that really even we're going to be echoing over the next few months together around these two words behind me, all in. Would you just say those out loud? I know you don't know what they mean yet, but just repeat after me. Say all in. Yeah, all in. That vision, that idea is something that I believe God is calling us to. All of us being all the way in. Now, if you were to read the New Testament and just pick it up and start reading anywhere, aside from the four first books, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the last book, Revelation, what you will find is that these books in the New Testament really are letters written by leaders to people that they cared about. That's what they are. They're letters. They're a means of communication from Peter and James and John and Paul and maybe another person or two, to groups of people, to individuals sometimes, but they're communicating, hey, this is significant. Hey, this really matters. Hey, we need to work on this. Hey, you need to grow in this. And you'll find them doing all manner of things because these are people that they knew. These are people that they cared about. That's why you read and sometimes they're encouraging them. Then you read and sometimes they're challenging them. And sometimes you read and they're talking about people's grandmammy and their auntie and everybody. And they're very specific. Why? Because these are people that they knew. These are people that they cared about. These are people that they lived lives together with. And so when they would write, they didn't write just abstractly in thought and just say a few things, but they wrote specifically because they were challenging them in something. They were challenging them for something. There was a specific nature to what they were sharing. You find that all throughout, and today, I believe in many ways that's my assignment today, is to encourage us, but to also challenge us, to shout out where we're doing well, and to call us out on areas where it's time for us to go all in. And I don't think this is just some idea. You see this rooted and repeated over and over again in the New Testament, in these scriptures. You see people like Paul make this kind of a statement. He makes this statement in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and this is going to be sort of our key text for today. And part of it's going to be sort of a key statement over the course of this next season. But look at what it says in 1 Corinthians 15:58. It says, "Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters," see, he knew these people. He loved these people. He said, "Stand firm, let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." Now, the start and the end of this verse get a lot of play. In fact, some of you may have heard the start or the end used sort of by itself. Like you've heard that part at the beginning where it says, "Stand firm, let nothing move you," right? Like somebody feels like they may not want to keep going. They may not want to continue to hold to that conviction. They may not want to continue to press on. And so somebody will tell, "Man, the Bible says stand firm, let nothing move you." And that gets a lot of play. And then the back part gets all kind of play. The part where it says, "Because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain," right? Like people that do kind of what I do, you know, they're in ministry. They've devoted their lives occupationally to ministry. They gets a lot of play where at their retirement or at the end of maybe their season serving in a particular church or a particular ministry, they'll use that last half. Know that your labor, know that all your work is not in vain. Middle part gets skipped over though. Middle part does not get near as much play as it should. And that's why we wanted to help it out. That's why on the way in today, I hope you picked up one of these, but they gave you a little white bracelet. And maybe you've looked at it, maybe you've read it, but I love the way this particular translation that's on your bracelet, if you would refer to your bracelet, actually says the middle part of this scripture. It says, "Give yourself fully to God's work." That is what Paul is calling these people in Corinth to do. Give yourself fully to God's work. Another way to say it would be, go all in the work God has called you to do. Don't go halfway. Don't kind of play with it. Don't just sort of be sort of, man, I'm going to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. No, go all in. Why? Well, if you happen to take the time to read 1 Corinthians 15 before this, what you'll find is that 1 Corinthians 15:58 that we actually read is sort of this random closing thought to all that Paul has been just on one, just pow, 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 pow. And he's talking about the fact that Jesus is going to come back. If you read it, go read it this afternoon, read it sometime this week. And what you'll find is that he is just telling people, he's like, look, the day of Jesus' return is near. Paul was saying this almost 2,000 years ago because he believed it with all his heart, that Jesus is coming back. He talks about how the sky will part and that the dead in Christ will rise first, and then the rest of us will be caught up with him in the air, that Jesus is coming back, that because of his death and resurrection, sin has been defeated, death has been conquered. And because he's coming back, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Because what you're doing is so serious, because the days that we live in matter, because today matters. He's saying, hey, give yourself fully to God's work. Now, this may be the part where you think that what he's actually telling them to do, or what I'm telling you to do, is going to be something gigantic. Move to another country and start walking around telling people about Jesus. No, probably not. Maybe for some, but more often than not, no. See, Paul is writing to this group of Jesus followers, to a church in a place called Corinth. Not the one over near Pickwick, but a different Corinth. Like, he's writing to them, and he writes to them a lot. Like 1 Corinthians, that's in the scriptures, is quite a long letter from New Testament standards. 2 Corinthians is long as well, too. But actually, we know historically that Paul wrote at least 4 different letters to this church at Corinth. Only 2 of them, though, are in the New Testament. He communicated with these people a lot. And he knew specifically who he was writing to. He was writing to people that had mortgages, and he was writing to people who worked at the dentist office, and he was writing to people that were entrepreneurs who were starting out and doing kind of their own thing. He was writing to students. He was writing to people who were not given over to this full-time vocational kind of ministry type of thing. He was writing to people that had friends, that lived lives, that had kids they were raising, that they were in school at night, that were living life. And he says, give yourself fully to God's work. What he doesn't mean is do something big, do something drastic. What he actually means is I want you to start doing something significant consistently. And here is why. If you're taking notes today, which this would be a good day to take notes, I'd love for you to write this down. That you become what you do consistently. The reason he tells them, hey, get consistent in this. Hey, the reason he tells them, hey, I want you to, it's not about doing something drastic. It's not about doing something extreme. It's not putting all your belongings on Craigslist. That's not what I'm telling you to do. He says, I want you to give yourself fully to God's work. I want you to go all in. I want you to do significant stuff consistently because you become what you do consistently. I personally do not like working out. Like, I don't like the gym. Is anybody with me? Anybody with me? Anybody ready to meet up at the restaurant than at the gym? Yeah, me too. Me too. But there was this one sort of season in my life where I worked out. It was me and 3 of my friends, and we were all, what's the word for it? We were fat. We all were. And we decided this, we got no, because one guy had been married for a long time, but the other 3 of us were sort of recently married. And it was like, man, we just gotta get in better shape. And so we all decided we are gonna go to the gym together. And so we actually set up this plan. And we said we're going to go on these days of the week, and we're going to go from this time to this time because we're all busy people and all had a lot going on. We said we're going to go from this time to this time, and we're not going to try to do more than that. We're just going to do this, and we're going to do this over and over and over again. And we believe that the results will show for themselves. So we did. So it was a Monday morning that we started, and we were planning to get there early because it's the time that it worked for our schedule. So we get there early, and it's me and 2 of the 3 guys that were supposed to be there. We were there. One dude wasn't there. And we were like, well, we ain't about to sit around and wait on him. Like forget him. And so we go in and get started with our workout. We'd all gotten the memberships already. We were rolling in this gym. And we're working out and we're doing our thing and our treadmill and elliptical and lifting the weights and doing this kind of stuff. And right about the time that we were about to leave, the fourth guy who was supposed to be there with us about an hour before comes strolling in. And we were like, good to see you. We about to leave, you know? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna say, I just decided to come later because I'm gonna do a much longer workout. We were like, all right, man, you do you, boo, but we gone, you know, like we got to go to work. And so we got wrapped up and we left. Now, the four of us worked together at the same church. And apparently, our fourth friend decided he didn't need to come in that morning because he actually came in after lunch. And he came in and he started telling us about how he worked out all morning long. Talking about how he worked out for like 4.5 hours straight. He's like, I lifted, and then I ran to like Nebraska and back. Like, you know, like just all this kind of stuff. And he was kind of gloating about how much he did. Because we were just there for our 55 minutes. We did our 55 minutes and we was out, you know, because that was mentally what we wanted. It's like, we're going to be in and out in less than an hour. So we did our 55 minutes, and he's over here talking about his 4.5 hours and all of the miles that he ran and all the things that he lifted. We were like, that's great. We'll see you in the morning. And so the next morning we go back to the gym, and it's me and the same two guys that were there on time, and our fourth guy, he wasn't there. And we saw him at the office, and we were like, why aren't you here? Why weren't you there? And he's like, man, I was so sore this morning. He's like, okay, but why weren't you there? We're sore too. He's like, oh, no, I'll be there the next day. Whole first week, he never came. Second week, he never came. Third week, he never came. 6 weeks later, the three of us are starting to lose weight. You know, we like down one little belt notch. You know, that when you go down the one belt notch, you feel good about yourself. You're like, yeah, what? Shirt get a little loose. You ain't got to iron it before you wear it. You can just wear it straight out of the dryer because you don't need that extra room. Some of y'all skinny people do not know what I'm talking about, but the rest of us can empathize with. Like we were feeling good about ourselves. He still hadn't been back to the gym. One big, gigantic gym experience where he worked out so hard, never went back. Fast forward a few months, and the three of us started losing some weight. In fact, me and one of my friends, we were losing weight. We were doing good, but we still had a great love for fajitas. But one of my friends, he got on this like eating thing, and I promise you, this dude got in the best shape of his life. Looked like he could be in the WWE. Like about 9 months later, just was jacked. My other friend, he's still on that big bone train. You know, like he was still hanging out there. Why? Because he was trying to do something gigantic rather than do something significant consistently. See, what changes things is not how big the thing is that you do. What changes things is the consistency. And today, for these few moments that we get to gather together, I don't want to talk to you about something gigantic. I don't want to talk to you about some move to the other side of the world. I'm not here to talk to you about some incomprehensible type of step to go all in. I'm talking about doing some things that are significant consistently. And if you'll do them consistently, not only will it change your life, but it will literally change the lives of people all around you. That literally not only will it affect you and yours, but it'll affect this church. It'll affect our communities. It'll affect your streets. It will change everything if you and I, if me and we will go all in. So would you just say that one more time? Shout all in. All in. Because what I'm calling us to is to go all in 3 specific areas. And these are areas that were encouraged by these New Testament writers, James and Peter and John and Paul. They all referenced these. These were common encouragements. And the reason they were common encouragements is because the significance of them on the other side has been true for thousands of years. And so, if you're taking notes today, I'd love for you to write these couple of things down because I want to challenge us to go all in. For all of us, every person, no matter your age, no matter your background, no matter how long you've been in church or not, for all of us to go all in these 3 areas. Here's the first one. Write this down. It is time for us to go all in and see everyone serving consistently. I believe that. It is time for all of us to take a step and begin serving consistently. See, we believe that everyone can and should find a place to serve in the church. In fact, if you were here earlier in the worship experience, you heard it in our news segment, and you hear it quite often. You don't even have to have come here very many times to hear the encouragement that we give for you to find a place to participate, for you to take a step and begin to do something in God's house for other people. We believe in this so strongly, and not just in the idea of serving occasionally, not just in the idea of serving that one time. That's fine and good. But what will really change you and what will change other people is when you begin to serve consistently. Look at what Peter said. Peter actually gave this encouragement in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10. He said it this way. He said, God has given each of you a gift from his great variety of spiritual gifts. In other words, God ain't limited. He gifted us in so many different ways. And look at what he said to do. I love this part. I would circle it if I were you. I highlighted it in my little notes here. It says, use them well to serve one another. Would you just touch your neighbor real quick and tell them you're gifted? Come on, tell them you're gifted. Touch the person you just rejected on the other side and tell them too. Tell them you're gifted. See, what Peter says is he says that God has given every one of us a gift. Believe it or not, I'm gifted. When you stand in front of the mirror, you may not feel that about yourself, but understand something about you. You are gifted. You're gifted. God has gifted you in some way, and all of us are a little different in our gifts. Some people, we have the gift that is administration. Some of us can't organize our own sock drawer, you know? Like some people are gifted with their talents in front of people. They can sing, or they can act, or they can speak in such an incredible way. Some people are gifted in the fact that you're just nice. Like, you are genuinely gifted at making people feel comfortable because of how nice you are. You are gifted in that. All of us are gifted, and what Peter says is that you should use them well. How do I use them well? To serve one another. See, if you're gifted and you're not using it, you are actually wasting the gift that God has given you. So some of you have such incredible gifting, such incredible ability, but you have yet to take a step out and begin to use that for God, to begin to use that in his house, to begin to use that to bless somebody else. And can I tell you, honestly, you're wasting the gift that God gave you. Because using it well, like Peter said, is when you start to use your gift to serve others. I want to help you to see what happens when you serve. Because some of us don't fully grasp it. We don't understand the bigness and the power of what happens when any one of us actually takes a step and begins to serve. I'd love for you to write this down, but when you start to use your gift well, you actually open the door for more people. When you serve, you actually make it possible for more people to come, for more people to be a part of this church for all people. For more people to experience the grace and the love of God in this house when you begin to serve. Think about it for a second. Whether today is your first day, you've been coming for a few weeks, months, years, whatever. There were people serving when you got here. When you got here, if you have kids, there was somebody wearing a yellow t-shirt that said, I am so happy to take your child from you for the next 65 minutes. And you were like, I am happy to leave them with you for the next 65 minutes. What you doing tomorrow? You know, like there was somebody already serving. When you got here, there was somebody who had gotten here way before other people and had set up a tent and set up flags and put out cones and put out signs and run cables and set up lights and put up banners and set up TVs and projectors and done all this stuff so that you could be a part of a worship experience. And that's fantastic. But them serving made it possible for you to come. But watch me. When you start serving, you actually open the door for even more people to come. You say, but I thought everything was done. Everything is done. But the beauty of it is the more people that get involved, the more opportunity there is to serve more people. Because not only when you serve do you open the door for more people, but watch this, you open the door for more ministry. More ministry. There are things that we feel called to do. Things that we have the idea, have the dream as a team to do. But being able to take the next step in ministry sometimes means being able to make sure that what we are currently doing is in good order. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody sacrifice the present and do a bad job with the base of what is in order to chase the new thing. You're like, that sounds like my boss. Don't think about your boss. but we've all experienced it. It's like the new toy. It's like you get a new car and now your other car becomes a collection of like Happy Meal extras and stuff like that. Like, because you pamper the new one and forget about the other one. We don't want that to happen. But there are opportunities in front of us, steps that we can take together as a church. But being able to do more ministry, being able to care for more people, being able to do more things actually begins with being able to make sure that everything we do presently, we do well. So more ministry is actually connected to you serving, because when you serve and you begin to make a difference and you begin to bring consistency to something, or you begin to bring strength to an area, what happens is you actually open the door not only for more people, but also for more ministry, which by in turn opens the door for more people. See, you open the door not only for more people, not only for more ministry, but write this down because this is personal too. You open the door for more ownership. Maybe you've bumped into somebody who your feeling about them is like, man, they have drunk the Kool-Aid of this place, you know? Like, I don't know why they love it so much. I don't know why they share every single thing that Goofy Church posts. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why they're so excited about Sundays. I don't know why they serve like they do. I don't know why. You know why? Because there's an element of ownership that only comes on the other side of serving. I've heard it over and over and over again from people for years who say, you know what, it was when I started serving. You know, it was when I got involved in that area that this place, this thing, God's house really became significant to me. That my ownership grew. This wasn't just your church. It wasn't just y'all's church. It was my church. Can I tell you, you want to make me mad? You want to make me mad? I'll tell you how to make me mad. Start talking about how anything happening here is mine, because ain't nothing here mine. It's ours. It's God's and it's ours. It ain't mine. This is not my church. This is not my microphone. This is not my little preaching table. This is not my carpet. It's ours. And it's something God has entrusted to us and given to us to share his love with other people in our city. It's ours. And if you want to feel ownership, start serving. Not just once, because that makes for neat pictures. Not just once, but consistently. See, it's the consistency that actually changes you. It's the consistency that actually grows you. And I believe that this is a season for us in these weeks in front of us, for all of us to go all in when it comes to serving consistently. That's why in your notes today, in your notes, actually behind there, there's a little card like this that says, I went all in at believing. And if you flip it over on the back, it just asks for 3 pieces of information. And I'm going to ask everybody to do this. Whether you serve consistently, you don't, this is your first time, you've been here for a while, you've been trying to dodge this moment. I'm going to ask everybody to at least go this far. Would you take the back of it and write your name, your phone number, and your email address on the back? You can do it now. You got a pen provided for you on the little worship guide. Because what I'm going to ask you to do actually at the end of this worship experience is just take one step toward going all in, and it's connected to this card. Because as you leave this room here in a few moments, there's going to be a table there set up with 5 different buckets that each indicate a different area that you can serve in this house. And I believe that we could get a good start today by everyone here going all in. And what you do is when you leave today, you walk right out these doors, you'll see it. You just simply take your card, which is a representation of yourself, and you say, you know what? I'm going to get involved in music. You know what? I'm going to start serving in B-Kids. You know what? I want to help with production. You know what? I want to host people when they come. You know what? I want to be a part of setting things up or loading things out, or I want to be a part of this thing. I want to invite you to take yourself and begin to go all in by serving consistently. That's the first one. If we're going to go all in, we're going to serve consistently. The second aspect is this. Would you write this down in your notes? It's time for us to go all in and see everyone giving consistently. Giving consistently. See, we believe that everyone should faithfully give financially in the church. We believe that. And I'm not the only one that believes that. You see that written all throughout the New Testament. In fact, Paul, in his writing to the Corinthian church, again, his friends in Corinth, he wrote them many times, like I told you, actually as many as 4. And the letter that we call 2 Corinthians is actually his 4th writing to those people. 1 Corinthians is probably his 2nd letter to them, but 2 Corinthians is definitely his last one. And so he's written to them for years. He's visited them. He's talked with them. He's prayed with their kids. He has told them so many things over so many years. But look at what he still tells them in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 7. Look at what he says. He says, you do well and excel in every respect. He says you have unstoppable faith. You have powerful preaching, in revelation knowledge, and in your passionate devotion, and in sharing the love that we have shown to you. He's like, you're doing a lot well. But look at what he says at the end. He says, so make sure that you also excel in grace-filled generosity. What is he saying to them? What he's telling them very practically is this. He's saying there is a lot that you do well. You got a lot going on that you are excellent at. However, there's an area that you're not excellent at, and I'm going to tell you about it because I want you to excel in this also. And he's saying, I want you to be generous financially. I want you to excel in giving consistently. Can I tell you the truth? I believe that if the Apostle Paul were in America today, if he were writing a letter to America, we'll call it Second Americans, if he was writing Second Americans today and going to email it to everyone in the church as a whole in America, I think he may say something very similar to what he said in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 7. He may say, there's a lot of things you do well. Oh my goodness, church in America, you're doing a lot well. But I do believe he would point out this one spot that we've missed it. And he would say, hey, see to it that you also excel in grace-filled generosity. See that you also excel in giving consistently. Why do you think he would say that, Michael? Well, let me tell you why. Because studies have been done year after year after year after year, and they found that on average, in the church, people that go to church, that only about 20% of people that go to church actually give something financially. So that means 1 in 5. 80% of the people that come to church in America don't give financially. And I think for that reason alone, forget many others that I could go into and spend all the rest of my time just talking about, but that's not what I'm here to do. He would say to the church in America, hey, church in America, excel in this too. If I could take it a step further, here at Believing, I believe he would actually say a very similar thing. There's a lot that you do believing that you do so well. Can I tell you, we do a great job serving. Part of that's probably because we meet in a movie theater and we know that these lights and stuff ain't gonna get out of here by themselves. They ain't gonna grow legs and walk, so people jump in, That people see opportunities to serve, that we talk about it so much. And we see a lot of people get involved serving. He'd say there's a lot of things you do well believing, but he'd also probably say that same sentiment. See to it that you excel in grace-filled generosity. As a leader, I know things, and then there are things that I choose not to know. And specifically connected to financially what happens in the church. Now, I want everyone to lean in and listen because this is where people can get twisted about things. And I know everybody gets a little bit tense whenever anybody with a microphone on the carpet starts to talk about money. Ain't nothing to be tense about. I'm helping you to know some things. There are things that I know and things that I don't know about what goes on here financially. Here's something I do know. I know how much money is given each week and then ultimately each month. It helps us to balance based off of the budget that is set. Oh, we had more money come in than we have budgeted. That's great. That's a surplus. Oh, we didn't have as much money as we have budgeted come in. Oh, that's a deficit. How are we doing overall? And I know these things. Now, what I don't know is I do not know how much any individual person gives. I chose from the beginning of the church not to know. Well, I know how much one person gives, me, because I write that check. I know how much I give. I know how much my family gives, but that's it. I choose to know. We have an accountant that we've hired that's an outside firm and source, and they let me know each month how many individual people give. Because it's helpful for us to know how many individuals give, not just that one person maybe gave twice online and 3 times in a bucket, and then no, that they gave once that month. They were a giver that month. But to know how many people gave, but what I choose not to know is who those people are. I don't want to know. And I got a lot of reasons that I don't have time to explain to you as why, but that's what I know and what I don't know. And based on what I know, here's what I know. I know that we're doing better than average. I know that more than 20% of people in our church give. It's actually right around 30%. That any given month, about 30% of people that come to believing give in some capacity. You say, well, how much? I don't know. I'm just saying they give at all. And that, honestly, it breaks my heart. And here's why it breaks my heart. It has nothing to do with money, and everything to do with trusting God. Because if you would write this down and then listen to me closely, giving is about trust. That's what giving is about. It's about trust. Step back and think about it on a real practical sense. There are some people you would give your wallet to and not think twice about. There are the other people that you would never in your life say, here, hold my wallet. Why? Because you don't trust them. There are people I may give the keys to my car to and say, sure, you can use it for a day because I know that they're going to bring it back to me tomorrow. There are other people I would not give the keys to my car to because I don't trust them. Giving ultimately is about trust. It's about trusting God. Now, a lot of people like to define it a lot of other different ways and get a lot of other convoluted things in the way, but at the end of the day, giving is about trusting God today. And people that don't give, if you're here and you don't give, please don't feel this as condemnation. This is just me calling out specifically what's going on the inside of you. There is something in you that does not trust God. You may trust God with your eternity, but not trust God with your today. Because giving is about trust. And maybe you say, oh, I trust God completely. Well, then there's another obstacle in the way, and it might be us. Because you may not trust the church. Some people, they're like, oh, I trust God, but I just don't trust the church. And I understand that. There are a lot of awful stories out there about what people do in the church as a whole. And that's why we do our best to be as open and as honest as we can about any and everything. Step 3 is start. What we're going to do today, we share with people the percentages of, hey, based on our budget, this is the percentage that we use money for. That 30% of it goes to pay for building, to rent the Paradiso and to rent storage space to store our equipment and stuff in. That we give away 15% of it. That 30% of it is used to pay people. And then the last 25% we use for ministry. What's ministry? It's everything else. It's goldfish for your kids, and it's coffee for you, and it's banners, and it's invitations to other people. It's everything that we do. That's how we use the money. And so here is my encouragement to you. Everybody look right here, because I don't want you to get it twisted. I want you to hear the truth coming from these lips. If you honestly feel like there's an issue with your ability of being able to trust the church, would you please do me the honor of reaching out to me? Stop me in a hallway before or after a worship experience sometime. Email me and let's set up a time to talk, or let's go back and forth via email. I will answer any question you have. There's nothing we have to hide. And the reason I will answer any question is, 1, we have nothing to hide. And 2, at the end of the day, my heart is I want to see every person be able to trust God completely. And money should never be an obstacle that prevents you from being able to trust God completely. And so reach out. Because ultimately, my heart, my prayer for you is that every one of us would go all in, yes, and serve consistently, but also give consistently. Why? Like Leon shared in the news, because the purpose of tithing is to teach you to put God first in your life. And when you do that, you are trusting him in a way that is different, in a way that is unique, because it's connected to this thing that we think about every single day, and that is our money. And so if you got a question, reach out. And if you don't, can I encourage you to keep praying? And maybe for the first time in your life, ask God, why don't I trust you in this area? Because I trust you with my eternity, but I'm having trouble trusting you when it comes to my money. Because here's what I believe, is that every one of us should give consistently. If you talk to people who give consistently, what you'll find is that not only do they know that they're helping to make ministry happen, but they'll tell you that it changes them too. It changes them from the inside out. And that's what I want for you. I want you to trust God with everything that you have. And that includes your money. And can I tell you what happens collectively? If we all went all in, if we all began to trust God and give consistently, do you realize how much we could do and invest in this city? Do you realize how much ministry that we could make happen together? Because right now, just think about it, and this is just the truth. If this bothers you, I'm sorry that it bothers you. This is the truth. That about 30% of the people giving make everything happen that you've ever touched from this church. When we give away thousands of dollars with a gas giveaway, that's because of the generosity of people in this room. People that call this church home. When we give gifts to our guests, when we create an event here, when we do whatever we do, everything comes from the generosity of people in this house. What if more of us began to trust God and go all in? It could change a lot. See, it's time for us to go all in and see everyone serving consistently and see everyone giving consistently. But number three is this. Would you write this down? We want to see everyone connecting consistently. Connecting consistently. Relationally, being connected to other people. Because here's what we believe. We believe that everyone should find real friends in church. I believe that. In fact, the writer in Hebrews, who may have been Paul, may have been Apollos, who knows who it is, but he said it this way, and it is true and good. He said, this is not the time to pull away and neglect meeting together, as some have formed the habit of doing, because we need each other. We need each other. In fact, we should come together even more frequently, eager to encourage and urge each other onward as we anticipate the day dawning. He says something very significant in the middle of that. It's a mutual kind of thing that happens through connection, and it's that we need each other. I need you relationally. You need me relationally. We need each other. See, some people think that their faith journey is this thing that you do by yourself. That's not what the writer in Hebrews would say. He would say, no. Your faith is actually dependent on the strength that somebody else can give you. Don't get in the habit of not meeting together. Come together because we need each other. Another way to say it would be like this, and you can write it down. You need people and people need you. See, when you start connecting consistently, what happens is you get attached to other people and you feel that void that you have to need to be connected. But watch me. When you connect to somebody else, they get connected too. And so now they're connected and maybe they weren't connected. See, it happens both ways. The thing that I think happens to some people, especially in this place, is that we have confused being comfortable with being connected. Maybe because this is the first time in your life you've ever felt comfortable in a church. They didn't judge me when I came in because of how I looked or because of what I wore or because of what I said. Great. That's awesome. But please don't stop at just being comfortable, because you being comfortable is an evaluation that you have made, and that's great. We want you to feel comfortable. But I want something more for you than you just to be comfortable. I want you to be connected. I want you to think about your best friends in life and think about people you met here. I want you to think about your best friends in life, people that are challenging you spiritually, people that you could call up when you need to move, people that pray for you when you're in a difficult season, and think about the people that you know in this house. Why? Because that's what the writer in Hebrews says we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be connecting consistently, because when we connect consistently, we're actually able to lean in to one another. But many of us confuse being comfortable with being connected. There is more for you than you just being comfortable. We want you to be connected too. And I believe a lot of people have worked real hard to make it possible for you to be comfortable when you come. And that's awesome. I want to invite you to take a step forward and start connecting consistently. But unlike comfortability, which is just an evaluation on your part, getting connected is going to take a little effort, right? Some of y'all, you want to date somebody, but you're just still sitting at the house. It takes effort, you know? And so does getting connected. That's why in 2 weeks, on June 2nd, we're going to be launching our summer season of groups. And these are going to be incredible, but they're going to be different. That we're actually going to take the sermons and create discussions off of them to help your faith go further, faster, and to be a collaborative experience. And in 2 weeks, we're going to launch those, have an opportunity for you to jump in. And I want to remind you and invite you now to begin praying and begin to make that commitment that right now I'm going to give myself fully to God's work. And that means that this summer, I'm actually going to start connecting consistently. I'm not just going to come to a room I feel comfortable in, but I'm going to start serving. And I'm going to pray and ask God, why is it that I don't trust you in this area? And I'm going to start giving. But more than that, I'm going to start connecting consistently. And I'm going to put forth the effort to connect. That's what we believe can happen. We believe it's possible for all of us to take these 3 simple steps. To start serving, to start giving, to start connecting consistently. In fact, that's what we want to see. We want to see that. We want to see every person, you can write this down, serving, giving, and connecting consistently. Because that's all in. The reason we gave you this little bracelet on the way in is I want it to be a reminder to you. My prayer, my ask of you would be, would you wear this maybe over the course of the next couple of months? To let it be a reminder to you when you look down at your wrist as to what it is you're doing. You're giving yourself fully to God's work. Sometimes we need that reminder. I believe some of you need that reminder when you've signed up here in a couple weeks to be a part of a group, but then you had a long day at work and you're like, man, I don't really want to go. But I'm going to give myself fully to God's work. Some of you, you're going to pray and begin to trust God with your finances, and then you're going to have some unexpected expense in your house. And the easiest first thing to cut would be putting God first in your finances. But maybe you're going to let that be a reminder to you to give yourself fully to God's work. Some of you today, here in a moment, you're going to take your card and you're going to begin to say, I'm going to serve consistently. But then you're going to think, man, I don't know if I really want to. I don't really, man, that seems early. That seems late. That seems like work. I just think I want to come. But I'm trying to give myself fully to God's work. Why? Because I believe that if all of us that call this church home went all in, rooms could not contain what God would do through us. You would not even recognize yourself if you went all in. I'm not asking you to do something big. I'm asking you to do something significant, consistently. To start connecting consistently. To start giving consistently. And to start serving consistently. And so here's our first step. I want you on the way out today to take this card, and every person, you may currently be serving consistently. That's great. Would you do it as an example to other people who need to take that step of faith? You may be kind of on the fence. You may have never served in your life. Would you say, what? I think this is an area I could serve in. I think God has gifted me in this area and I could help here. Would you take that step today? It's not a prayer to pray, it's a step to take. It's not a thought to think, it's a step to take. And then we'll be in touch with you this week and help you get acclimated and assimilated into all of that. But I just want you to take the first step today of giving yourself fully to God's work. Can I pray for you before we go today? Let's pray together. Jesus, we love you and we thank you today because we have an example of what going all in looks like. We don't serve a God who only went halfway for us. We serve a God who gave his best for us. And today, we are going to take a step toward you, a step of faith for some of us, because it's going to take a lot of faith to connect consistently. For some of us, it's going to take a lot of faith to start giving consistently, a lot of faith to start serving consistently. But God, we believe you and we trust you and we are following you with this, our next step. And so today we are choosing to go all in and to trust you with all the results, to believe that you're going to use our practical step of faith to make a massive difference, not only in us, but through us. We love you. We thank you. And God, I thank you for people today who are going to respond not to a sermon, but they're going to respond to your Holy Spirit and what your Holy Spirit is speaking to their heart personally, even in this moment, as we give ourselves fully to your work. We love you, and we pray these things in your precious name.